with, here's the tools you're going to need. A piece of aluminum foil, 13mm ratchet, 13mm wrench with a boxed end, and an 8mm, and a pair of snap ring pliers. We want them to open like this. So the drain plug is located basically right behind the foot peg there on the back. It's magnetic, and this is what we're going to use the 13mm wrench for. So I am going to put that on there so you can see, and if you notice, the frame is right behind it. So it's a little bit hard to get in there if you don't use a 13mm wrench. And the box end will get you a good grip on it so that you don't strip it. And like I said, the ratchet doesn't fit in this area very well, so that's where the box end wrench. This is the oil screen right here, and that's where we're going to use our 13mm deep socket to loosen that. And then right here we have the oil filter. And this is an extremely simple oil change. Basically, we're going to pull this, drain it, then we're going to pull the screen, clean it, and make sure there's not any debris in the bottom of the hole. And then we're going to change out the oil filter. So for transparency, I've already loosened the bolts up so that I don't wobble the camera all over the place. Get the 13mm on there, loosen that up, and be careful if your engine is hot. And there is a copper crush washer on there too. So I'll give you guys a close-up here of the magnetic drain plug, and this is why they're awesome and why KTM does them. You can see all the fur going on it. That's metal shavings. This is a bike with pretty low hours, so this is completely normal. This is just the transmission kind of working its way in. Don't be alarmed by that. And sometimes when you're draining the oil in the screen, you might see some aluminum clutch plate in there. Also, don't be terribly alarmed by that. Good idea to use a new copper crush washer, but all those are metal shavings that we do not want cycling through our cam and things like that. Alright, so step 2, put your aluminum foil here on the frame, and what that does is it gives the oil a path to go down into the oil pan. Doesn't get oil all over your frame, and it just keeps it going in one direction so that you can point it downward. And you can shape the foiler a little bit to encourage it to go down, but it'll trace it down, so that's a good tip. I actually got that from one of my followers. And loosen the screen. There we go. That worked just like magic. So you're going to have this cap. Sometimes there's goodies down inside of there. Doesn't look like there is in mine. Now we're going to remove the screen. Ideally you would do this with a needle nose, but I don't have any, so pull this bugger out. So this is where you're going to find the aluminum clutch plate bits, and you're just going to want to clean this with some contact cleaner. It's got little O-rings. Inspect that the O-rings aren't bad. Now you're going to reach your finger inside there. Once again, be careful if it's hot, and you want to make sure that there's no debris and chunk. You can see a little bit of aluminum right there, so I like to get in there and kind of clean all that out so you're not just recycling that, and you have a nice clean engine to start with. So next we're going to transfer our little piece of foil to underneath of the oil filter, and I already took the bolts out so the camera wouldn't be too shaky. We're going to pop that off, and it's going to drain all that oil right down that and not all over our frame and engine. So this next step is where the snap ring pliers come in handy. We're just going to put them in here in the filter and put them out sideways and pull the filter out of the engine just like that. So now we're just going to reverse the steps. What I did here is I got my brand new filter, OEM. I only use the OEM filter. Not that there's anything against the aftermarket, but I don't know, something I do. I poured a little bit of my favorite oil inside the filter just to soak it a little bit, and we just slide it right back in the hole and press it in with our thumb until it bottoms out. Now we're going to reinstall the cap. It's a good idea to have an extra O-ring on in your little supply of tools at home. This one's in great shape. Like I said, it's only been barely used. No leaking, so I'm just going to reuse it. And you just put these there and they'll snap back into place. Reinstall the bolts and torque them to the specs in the manual. Now back down here to our oil filter screen. I got it all cleaned up. Just a little bit of contact cleaner, blew it out. So no debris. Make sure you check on the inside too. and we just shove it right back in the hole. And there's a little orifice that it has to go over on the other side, so you're going to go in there and you're going to feel it kind of click into place. If you don't feel it click into place, it's not in the right spot. So you got it clicked into place. Now we reinstall our clean plug, and it will center up right on that little screen and screw in and tighten it to the specs in your manual. Now back down to our drain plug with a new copper washer. Reinstall your drain plug. Torque that to spec. Alright, over here on the engine fill side, make sure there's not any dirt around the hole. You don't want to drop any of that right onto your clutch. And I have this nifty screw-in 1.1 quarts of your favorite high quality oil. I'm not going to tell you that you have to use Motorex. I do think it's a good product, but I do very frequent oil service intervals on my bikes, so I just run this Honda stuff, semi-synthetic. Saves me a lot of money, and I usually change my oil between 10 and 15 hours depending on how hard I rode. And just fill it up, 1.1 quarts. So done filling it up. When the bike's tilted in the upright position, it should be about halfway into the sight glass. So if it's not, you did something wrong. And just make sure that your plug is clean and reinstall it. There we go. Piece of cake. Real simple. It's about maybe a 20-minute job max. And just make sure that you take your time and don't over torque things.